Welcome to Speaking Prowess. Are you ready to supercharge your communication skills and achieve unstoppable success? You're in the right place. Join Sifu Rafael, visionary founder and world-renowned master instructor, as he transforms leaders into powerful communicators. Joining Sifu is co-host Brigitta Hoeferle, a dynamic businesswoman, global speaker, and NLP Master Trainer, and the Skilled Center of NLP team. They will deliver unmatched expertise and energy to every episode. Prepare to unlock your full potential and make every conversation count. This is Speaking Prowess, where your journey to communication mastery begins.
Brigitta, happy Friday. I know we're miles apart, even hours apart, but I am so thrilled that you're my host.
So happy to be here. Thank you, Rafael, and welcome to all of our listeners. We got a great show today.
We do. Essential communication for leaders and feedback. I mean, wow. I am thrilled. We do have an incredible human being with us. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Scott, how are you? Happy Friday, my friend. How's everything going?
Everything's going fabulous. I'm much better now that I'm with you two.
I think the three of us have so much greatness in common, and I can't wait to dive into this episode and learn through you, Scott, and through you, Rafael. It's going to be a great one. So whoever's listening, welcome. Join us in the chat box, comment, share with us some nuggets that you might get out of this. We can't wait to have an interaction with you. This is not a one-way street. This is a dialogue between all of us.
That's right. So let's get into it. Let's talk about essential communication, right? Listen, we start off with little words when we're children, and then we go and get education. We communicate with other people, and sometimes it's our environment on how we communicate, isn't it? Let's get into that.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're social beings. We were designed to be social. You know, back when the pandemic hit and they suggested social distancing, I created a video that day that said, I absolutely refuse to social distance. I will physical distance if that's for safety, but I'm going to up my social game. I'm going to talk to more people as fast as I can.
Yes. So tell us, how did you do that? How did you start to talk to more people?
Well, look at what we're doing right here. You know, Brigitta's trying to get as far away from us as she could possibly be. You know, I mean, she's flown across the pond to escape us. I mean, come on. The fact
There's no escaping you.
No. But so how do you do it? I mean, there are such great video conferencing tools available today. There's quite frankly, there's no excuse for not being able to talk to people. If you have a desire to talk to people, there are people that you can talk to. You can do it on the phone. You could certainly text, which many people don't realize their phone is actually not a texting device. It's a phone. And then you can do video calls. So how do you do it? Number one, you set the intention to do it. You just have a desire to smile and dial and talk to people.
It's interesting that you talk about the phone. I had a conversation with somebody who I had called them and, so forth. And then I saw them in person and they said, hang on, I got to make a quick call. I said, okay. And they popped out a flip phone, not the newest flip phones, but like an old one. And after they got off the phone, I said, can I ask you a question? How come you haven't upgraded? And he goes, to what? To a smartphone? He goes, so I don't have my life? He goes, this is the best way for me to connect with people. If they want to talk to me, they have to dial. Dial for me. So that's pretty interesting. And I always enjoy a conversation with this gentleman. He is so knowledgeable, but he doesn't allow other things to interrupt either his learning or his environment. Now, I think that was beautiful.
Very much so. I mean, I got a friend that's very much like that as well. And you go, you got that thing duct taped together? What are you doing? You know, I mean, my goodness. The hinge doesn't work anymore. He goes, that's what duct tape's for, you know. So
essential communication. I love what you said earlier, Scott, on, you can call them, you can video call them, you can send a video message, you can send a text message. And I want to throw something out that I heard one of my participants in a training last week said, and this man is a very, very, very knowledgeable engineer, also very heady, okay, lives very much in his head. And we talked about communication, and I gave the whole team, it was a group of 40 people, the opportunity to look at, how do we listen? When is silence a good thing? What plays into our communication, tonality, body language, the mindset, the purpose level, all of those things are part of our communication. And eventually, after about 4 hours in, he raised his hand, and I could tell that there's something going on. And he finally raised his hand and he said, I have something to say. And I said, yes, please. He said, we all speak the English language. And I said, yeah, I think we can agree on that. He says, okay, so if we all speak the English language, we know the meaning of the words. Can we agree on that? And I'm like, okay, I wonder where this is going. So I'm nodding. And he says, well, if we all know the meaning of the words that we're speaking, then why am I in this training? Why do I need your training? And I was like, ooh, interesting question. Well, let's open it up to the entire room, because I wasn't going to make that point. But it shows you that people cannot not communicate. It shows you exactly from which mindset this person came from. Scott, if you were in that training room, how would you have handled that?
Well, you want everybody to be able to share their messages, and one of the things I said in a podcast yesterday, an unearthed objection is still an objection. The only way you handle it is to do it. A little different situation, but you have to hear somebody out and hear what they're thinking, right? People don't understand sometimes that repetition is the mother of invention, right? Being able to do it over and over again, hearing something new. I love doing podcasts like this because I'm talking to two geniuses here, and I'm going to learn things as well today, right? Even though we're having a conversation. I did a networking event a week ago, and this woman, there were about 100 people there. And I was kind of standing on the outside. This woman comes up and she goes, oh my God, I'm already overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. And she looked at me and I went, she goes, why are you smiling at me? I said, because it just started a conversation. That's where you start. Mm-hmm. And so I would say the same thing in your training, Brigitta. When somebody asks something, why are you there? Because you can benefit from the crowd, right? You're doing crowdsourcing of ideas, crowdsourcing of knowledge. If all three of us went through the exact same incident environmentally, we would all have a different take on it because of who we are, how we grew up. I know you'll find this hard to believe. Men and women are different.
No.
Yeah. So
really?
Shocker. Okay. Mic
hey,
drop.
Listen, I tell people, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we should be able to interrupt each other. I tell people I can't eat that because I'm trying to keep my girlish figure. So I know that internally there's a girl inside of me.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting. Anybody who Buckminster Fuller said, you can't learn less. You can't learn less, right? Every time you're in a situation, it's a learning opportunity to be able to take something from it. So you could sit through. I mean, I had somebody walk up to me one time and said, "This is the 8th time I've heard a presentation on this topic. The first time from you, but it's the first time I understood it."
Yes.
Because you simplified it to a level where I could grasp onto it. So why are you sitting in a room for that period of time if you already know these things? Because there just might be one thing more. And that, I've got a friend who wrote the book, The One Thing, right? It doesn't take a lot of things most of the time. It takes a desire to have an open mind, right? You want to be amenable to the possibilities, but there's always something positive you can take from an interaction with another human being or a group of humans.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. The effective communication and what people make it mean, because we're all meaning making machines at the end of the day. And if we just allow to focus on the words, which text messages, emails, even this message that pops up right now is just written words. There's so much lost in just written words. There's no tonality. We can't hear the tonality of the person that's writing the message. We can just read the words at face value. We don't see how they're, what the intention is on how they're presenting it with their body. So there's a great little video by, Key and Peele, and they're texting with each other. I'm going to find it and I'm going to put it in here just so you can watch it. But he's texting, one's texting the other, and they're in two different mindsets, in two different places. And one is, really upbeat and really excited to meet up. And the other one's like, oh, yeah, it is on. And taking it completely out of context because he's not hearing how it's being said. And I think that's the pitfall in communication.
Well, it's actually something that I teach quite a bit of. And I learned it the hard way. I was trying to do a speaking gig with a friend of mine. It didn't work out. So I sent him a quick email that said, "Hey, sorry it didn't work out. I know we gave it our best. Better luck to us next time." Okay. I sent it off. Very simple, quick email. Didn't hear from him. 2 days, 3 days. So I picked up the phone. I called him. I said, "Hey, buddy, did you get my email?" He said, "I got your sarcastic email." I said, "I didn't send you a sarcastic email." He said, "Here, let me pull it up. Sorry it didn't work out. Better luck to us next time. Thanks." I said, "I didn't say that." He said, "It's your words." It was my words, but it was his tonality. So I suggest in my trainings, don't ever send a written document without reading it 2 ways. Read it on puppy uppers. You're happy as can be and exactly as you intended it. And read it as if somebody just kicked your dog. Because if you can add tone to it, so can they. So that's why texting alone, I mean, I talk about this to younger generation. Texting alone is problematic. I'll give you an example. My mother-in-law, 93 years old, nice lady, right?
God bless her.
Yeah, exactly. Sends a message to my wife about some traumatic event, LOL. And my wife reads it and goes, "Mommy, you just told us about these people dying and, all this nasty stuff. And then you put laugh out loud." She goes, "Laugh out loud? I put lots of love." And so the point is, I say it in training. When my daughter, a millennial, puts BFF, it's best friends forever. Right? When I put BFF, it's best friend fell. So we don't even take the acronyms the same way.
We don't. But think about this. Have you ever read a book and then the movie comes out? I know you've all read a book, right? But then the movie comes out and it's either better than the book or it's worse. And it's because of the interpretation of the words, right? And maybe they didn't get to talk to the author. What did he mean? Because sometimes somebody just bought the rights to the book, but they didn't engage the author to say, what did you mean by this, right?
Well, that's a brilliant point to go back to where Brigitta was with this guy sitting in the class. Yeah. I know the words. I know the construct of the words. The question would have been, what was the intention behind them?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Because you're making a great point there.
Intention. Well, we should have an intention. Sometimes we do it by just out of, automatic. And if there's not an intention, then I would have the question, why do we communicate in the first place? Is it then just, what is that? But there's the piece of tonality missing. There's the piece of body language missing. There's the purpose level missing. There's the mindset that people are coming from. Because when you can start being tuned in to those data points, people are becoming an open book. And I want to ask you, Scott, because people can be an open book, and because you are such an expert modeling communicator, how does that play in when we are on the phone, maybe in sales, maybe closing a deal? I mean, I'm pretty sure we have a majority of business owners that are really, sitting at the edge of their seat and going, I'm going to write this next thing down that Scott about to say. Because if we can't communicate, we can't close.
Well, thank you for teeing that up, because I'll go with language to start out with. See, I don't ever want to close anything. What I want to do is secure the agreement.
Thank you.
So first part is languaging. The second part, again, is the combination of the three, the words, the tone, the physiology. The way I explain it is I can say, hi, hi, hi. Totally different message, because I've now incorporated all. So if you're working to, if you're happy, tell your face, right? I mean, smile.
I love that.
Have some fun, And so when you're talking about how do you do it over the phone? Well, a smile can be heard over the phone, number one. Number two, my wife used to laugh at me all the time because I'd be on coaching calls or maybe sales calls, and I'd have a headset on, and I'd be standing, and I'd be, waving my arms, and I'm in a full-blown thing. And she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm talking." And she goes, "But why aren't you seated?" Well, because when I get up, it opens my diaphragm. I got more air. I can be right. You can feel the activity level. One of the way I teach tonality, you got to have congruence in word, tonality, physiology. It all has to be congruent, because words are actually the smallest part of the communication. And so I when I'm training in the chiropractic space, I talk about my first chiropractor, and he said, "You've got a subluxation. You could die." I'm like, "Oh my God, I could die of something I have no clue what it is. You seem pretty happy about this." But he could have said, "You've got a subluxation. You could die." Wow. See, that would have hit different. Well, that's pacing is different. If I want to have enthusiasm, I just go higher and faster. And if I want to have more compassion, I go lower and slower. So this is all part of making your words dance. Brigitta, you're so excellent on stage. Rafael, I look forward to seeing you on stage. I haven't done it yet, but I've seen Brigitta many times. And she's so excellent at pacing and tonation and moderating levels. That's what it comes down to. Again, are you serious and compassionate and working to get something across? Or do you want to create some enthusiasm and some excitement? Let's go. Come on. Let's have some fun. Most of that is not done with the words. It's done with everything supporting the words.
Oof. Powerful. I got to tell you that we all have seen terrible speakers. Oh. And they forget all of the things that you've been speaking on: tonality, body language, face, hands, every aspect, your movement on stage, even if you're not on a stage, but you're in a small setting, connecting with the audience. It's all the tiny, tiny little things make you incredible. And people want to flock to see you. I've never seen Brigitta on stage, or you as well, Scott, but give me the opportunity and let me know when, and I will be there. I promise, right? And for me, it's always about listening, right? And we've had many conversations on listening, but a lot of the times it's, even as a speaker, we're not listening to the audience because we come with our own spiel and we have our message and it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, they may be here for a different message than the one you want to deliver, but yet you never took the time to listen to the message they want.
Well, that's what I think is, it's a great point, Rafael. I mean, what you're saying is so true. But what it brought out when you were saying that is I was thinking back to an event where we had tens of thousands of people. And there was a lady in the first couple of rows that you could just see by her body language. She was troubled about something. And I don't think it was what I was saying. I think she was, she had, hopefully it wasn't.
She had to go to the restroom, maybe.
Well, that's exactly it. It's like, gosh, I've been here a long time. But but the point is, you have to learn how to read body when you're speaking. You have to learn how to read body language and face and gestures. And people don't realize that if I go like this, I'm actually taking in what you're saying and pushing it up into my brain. I'm working to interpret. That's a body language signal. So again, when you become a professional speaker, you learn, professionals know more about certain things. So you learn, people could have their arms crossed. It could be, I'm really disgusted with what you're saying, or it could be, dang, it's cold in here. So how do you, both indications are arms crossed, right? So great point. You just have to, if you want to be proficient and attain high levels of your professionalism, you've got to learn all the things that go into it. I'll give you an example. I had done about 500 of a certain talk, and I was asking for feedback afterwards. Somebody said, "Oh man, you are so good at this. You don't miss a word. You're on the right spots, at each point, and you're doing all this." And I said, "So what do you think?" And they go, "God, you were plastic." That wasn't what I wanted to hear. And I said, what made me plastic? And they said, "You were too good. You were too smooth. You never missed a word. You didn't stutter. There was never a pregnant pause that wasn't already planned." And it was like, whatever. I took that feedback. I went and watched a friend of mine who's an amazing talent. He's the world's expert at what he does. He's not necessarily a great speaker, but he is an amazing connector to the audience. And I watched what he did to connect with the audience. And I adopted those things, and everything changed.
So
Drastically.
I'm curious. Share. What did he do, Scott?
Gosh, these are secrets, Brigitta. I could tell you. No. Amazing little things like walking, first of all, and I teach this too, but eye contact. And even if you're on a video call, people who are on a video call and they're eating their breakfast, it's like, really? Come on. Right? Be present. So presence is the first thing. But what he would do, his eye contact, and quote unquote, the many speaker trainers will tell you 3 to 5 seconds. I say 5 to 8 seconds. I'm going to look at you for 5 to 8 seconds. I'm going to meet your eyes and I'm going to look at you. And what you find out when you do that for 5 to 8 seconds is actually you kind of get a haze around that person. In other words, everything disappears other than their eyes, which is a really cool experience. Okay. So now I'm looking at you for 5 to 8 seconds. And now without changing my body position, I just changed my head position. And now I can look at Brigitta. And I look at her for 8 seconds. And then I look over the top of Brigitta and I see somebody 3 rows behind her and I lock eyes. And then I might change sides of the room and move and put my hand on the shoulder of the person I'm talking to and look down into their eyes, but then keep my hand on their shoulder and look across the room. Stay connected with the one, now pull the rest of the room in. So in speaking, never move without a purpose.
Yeah.
Don't get the conga feet and you're, forward and back and you're moving and your head swaying and it's like people are going to get sick. Stop it.
Well, yeah. And again, people cannot not communicate. So that means that they're just not purposefully locked into what they're doing, because they might not know anything about analog marking on stage or in front of the room, or any of the anchoring that you just mentioned, eye contact. I mean, yes, it's a well-kept secret, and that also takes practice, because not everyone is comfortable in holding that eye contact.
Well, true, but
Can I state something?
Yeah, I was going to get a very technical point here. Get over it. Go ahead.
I'm loving this because I want to stress enough that you did not say just look at one person.
Oh, no.
Because a lot of speakers, especially the brand new ones, they were told you have to make eye contact. So now it becomes uncomfortable for the audience member who's going, wait a minute, this is getting kind of creepy. That speaker keeps just looking at me. And I've been in the audience where someone they pick only one person, and that's the only person, because they've been taught that you have to connect with one, right? And therefore, they pick one person and make that person uncomfortable.
Yeah, they forgot the other part of that statement: one at a time.
Yes.
No, I agree with you. It's amazing when you start to realize how connected you can actually be with an audience. It's one of the reasons I love speaking. And quite frankly, as much as I love speaking, I actually love training more, because you're even more tied in and connected, and you stay that way. And you know that you're positively impacting somebody's life when you're doing something. It just feels great, right? So communicating, if you want to do this professionally, and by the way, let me define professionally. You're all professionals. Now, you might not be on stage, but you are communicating professionally every day, because you are working to get your point across that will make a difference in your life. That's your payment for that communication. Everybody's a professional communicator. Now they just need to frame it that way.
And it doesn't hurt if they get paid, if they decide, right? It doesn't hurt.
I got a rule. You can hit me over the head with a checkbook anytime you'd like.
Scott, you're known as the super connector. I can't remember who called you that, and I'm pretty sure not just one person called you that. How do you connect? Like, especially nowadays, not everyone, is able or wants to take your phone call, which I would assume you're old school. And I know you and I, call each other. Sometimes we play phone tag, and I'll just tell your answering machine, tag, you're it. And then, you call me and you're like, tag, you're it. How do you connect in times of text messages and networking events and LinkedIn messages and LinkedIn messages? How do you connect best?
Well, the answer is yes. You use all the different mediums available to you, and if you say, hey, Brigitta, I've noticed we've had a hard time connecting by phone, but I really want to talk to you. So is there a better way to schedule it to make it more convenient for you? It's not about me, it's about you, right? So, I think so one of the things you can do is understand people's mode and preferred method of communication, right? And I know you'll find this hard to believe, but some of us more mature folks, that's code word for older, we actually learned how to and like to talk to people. And there are generations that have not been taught to talk to people and have been taught to text people. Well, isn't it interesting that some of their communications isn't as complete or good as it could be because they're only using one modality, being text? The reason emojis were created, by the way, is to indicate tonality. I hate you, smiley face, right? So emojis were designed to, or you're awesome, pile of dung. Now, which one are you going to pay attention to? You pay attention to the emotion.
Yeah.
And that's why emojis were created in the first place, right? So
makes sense.
Well, again, communication is all three aspects. It is the words you say, it is the tonality on how you make them dance, and it is the physiology behind it. If I were to sit here and say, I am this, gosh, you guys are really good at this podcast. I am so delighted. Oh, Jesus.
Would you pay attention, please? Can you look over here, Scott?
That's my point. How many times is somebody looking past you for the next conversation or the next opportunity or the next whatever, right? Be present. One of the things I wrote in one of my books is be where your feet are. If you can't remember how to do this, be where your feet are. If I'm standing in front of you, you are the most important thing in my world at that moment until we both decide that you're not.
Right. I also have to say that if you want to engage with somebody who usually is not engaging, bring duct tape and duct tape to the chair, because therefore
certainly an opportunity. Yes.
Brigitta, I got to tell you, you introduced me to this incredible human being, and when we connected, I thought I was just going to talk to him for a little while.
No, there's no short time to talk to Scott, honestly, which I love.
It was a beautiful, beautiful time. And we were like kindred spirits talking. And the fact that
I told both of you that.
Yeah, you did. You did. And to me, you've become a great connector. You've connected me to some great people. The way we got connected, I can't even remember, but it doesn't matter because we're connected, right? But I got to tell you, and it was not a short call that you and I had, Scott, and it was a beautiful time that we spent together.
Agreed.
And we agreed that we would stay connected. And I'm so happy that you're here today, my friend. And now I can call you my friend because we had a nice conversation.
Well, as soon as you transferred friendship from Brigitta immediately, so you were my friend immediately from that side. So no, I'm honored to be here. My desire is to use the talents and capabilities that God has granted me to serve as many people positively as I possibly can.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm in good company, you guys. Whoever's listening and watching this, you want to be on here. You want to be around the people that really are servant leaders that are spreading good and that create that win-win-win. And I love what you just said, because credibility is transferred.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of credibility is also transferred. So, who do you want to stick around? And what do you want it to rub off on you?
Well, it was said you're the sum of the 5 closest people that you hang around with. If you don't like where you are, it's okay. Hang around with better people, and it happens. You'll become better, right? When I wanted to, or when I felt that there were gaps in my knowledge or in what I wanted to do, I went to seek out the best. I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't say that to impress anybody, but just to impress upon them that if you don't know something you want to know, somebody does. And find the one that resonates with you, that you match hearts with, that you can do things, because we live on an amazing planet that's fully abundant, and opportunities are everywhere. Well, I don't see any. Hang with people that find them, and you'll see them too. I mean, we've got the ability to do whatever we choose to do. Doesn't mean it's always easy. Doesn't mean it's always fun. But when you make it fun,
it'll be worth it.
Oh, it's definitely worth it. My goodness. I mean, absolutely.
I believe in SEO, right? And people think SEO is search engine optimization, but I like to consider it as see every opportunity. So that's my SEO, because you never know. You never know where an opportunity presents itself.
It's one of the things that I say to people. I'm really great at a lot of stuff. I am terrible at reading minds. I have no idea who the next one could be, or who the right one could be. Some of the most obscure connections. I went to a dinner one day and was just invited, and I met this guy. I had no clue who he was. And he said, if you could talk to anybody dead or alive right now, who would it be? I said, Richard Branson. He goes, I can make that happen in 62 days. I said, what? He goes, do you really want to meet him? I said, yes. 62 days later, I met him.
Wow.
But I would have never gone into that dinner or meeting somebody anticipating that. So again, you got to be open. You got to put yourself into situations. People talk about communication. Well, what if this isn't the right person? What if it is? Like that woman who said, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I said, there's 100. She goes, you smiled at me. I said, yeah, it started a conversation. She goes, you seem to be pretty good at this. I said, I'm not pretty good at this. I'm great at this. So what would you like to learn? And she goes, you'd be willing to teach me? I said, that's the reason you know it in the first place. It doesn't do you any good to keep it. You got to share it. And she goes, well, how would I meet that guy? I said, would you want an introduction to him? He's a friend of mine. She goes, oh my God. I said, see, all you had to do is ask. But if you weren't talking, you wouldn't have asked in the first place. You would have never found out he's already an existing friend of mine. And she goes, oh, I see. Now, she could have just as easily come in there, and I said, I don't know anybody in here either, but now I know you. So it could have been just the two of us that met. That's still better. If nothing good happens to you in the situation, nothing was going on in the first place. It didn't get worse. But if you don't stride out a little bit, that's when it can get better.
Yeah.
I always say strive to meet new people, right? Some people sometimes say, I wish I was a fly on the wall. I said, be careful what you wish for, because somebody's going to smack you.
While the two of you were talking, I was really thinking, and I've done this with my team on many occasions, and I want to give it out to the listeners today, because we are we're in the last stretch of this month of this year. I have a challenge for everyone, and whoever's up for it, put in the chat box or put in the comments. I'm in. Today's the 6th, so a 25-day challenge. 25-day challenge that will take us to the end of this year, to the end of this month and the end of this year, to connect with 3 people that you might know. So that would be a reconnection, or that you don't know yet. And what I mean by that is, you're not just going to spam people on LinkedIn and to sell them your product or your service. That's not what that means. It means that you're generally looking at people that you have things in common with, people that you might have been introduced to in the past, reconnecting with folks that you haven't talked to in a long time or in a while. But make it an effort to reach out to 3 people every day for the next 26 days, 25 days. What is it? 25 days.
25.
I'm in.
Well,
Me too.
look,
Yeah.
I even put, you said to put it in the chat, so I did. And I want to say it
Me too.
out here.
I'm in.
Put it in for me. I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to
Hey,
say,
no, but I mean,
Scott,
but-
you just said
Scott-
something important. You don't know how, but you have people that can show you.
Well, exactly.
And I love what you talked about, that if you don't know something, don't be afraid of asking for help and even paying for it. Because I think all of us here have paid not, oh, I paid $10,000. No, we've all paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for the information that we have gathered in our lifetime. And I am sure that all of us will continue to spend on our growth in order to just be that spicier kind of a person, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I shared this story. My speaking mentor sent me a text one day and he said, "Hey, I'm coming to Dallas. I want to take you to dinner." And I said, "You're buying, man. You've never bought me nothing. So that's awesome. I've spent a lot of money with you." And he goes, "No, I want to take you to dinner." So anyway, we're at Uncle Julio's and on our second margarita. And he goes, "I got to ask you, you're easily the most successful student I've ever had. And I've coached thousands and thousands of speakers." And he said, "But you're the only one who has ever implemented 100% of what I taught. I have to know why." And I said, "Awesome. I'll give you that answer. You're buying me dinner and a margarita or 2. But you got to ask 2 questions from me first." I said, "How many dollars worth of checks did I write you?" He gave me a number and I said, "Yeah, that sounds about right." "How many of them did you cash?" He said, "Every one of them." I said, "You now have the answer. Why would I pay you that much money to learn how to have your expertise and then not implement it?" He said, "Scott, you're the only student that ever has."
Only smart one.
Well, but the reality is there's some brilliance out there. Align with you deserve to align with the guidance that fits your path and then take that path, because your success matters. So find the guidance that resonates with you. That's what I've done with all my mentors. When, again, in a specific category, if I want Jack Canfield in success, John Childers in speaking, Brian Tracy, Harv Eker, I can go name after name after name that I've learned from, because I wanted to learn their expertise in that category. And if you look at anybody who has become anything, or somebody thinks they've become anything, they've not done it alone. They've had somebody who's invested in them. They've had somebody who has mentored them. They've had somebody who has given them guidance aligned with their direction, their purpose. Don't try to become them. Don't try to become something you're not. Brigitta knows this because I've said it to her many times. I've shared the stage with every good one, and I've shared the stage with everyone that thought they were good, and probably not as good. And what's the difference when you're in the green room and you're having a conversation and it's just you? When I've been blessed to have some amazing people share amazing pieces of genius, I'm so grateful and so thankful, as I am with you two as well, because of your genius.
Same. Wow.
Incredible.
So challenge. We connect with 3 people every day.
Can I share one of my techniques?
Yes, I was
Yes.
hoping you would.
Before you do, can I just tell the audience whether they're looking at it in live or on the replay, get your pen and paper out now.
And
You're on.
Brigitta, you know this to be true but there's two things that I do to create connection quickly. The first is, if Brigitta were to call me, and I have her number in my phone, and so when I look at my phone as it's ringing and I see her name, I answer this way 100% of the time. Brigitta's fan club, Scott Schilling, president. How can I be of service?
No joke. Every time. No joke.
Love it.
It immediately changes state. But
makes me want to call you a couple of times a day.
I actually get calls from friends that the only reason I call you is to hear you answer.
What time do you wake up? What time is lunchtime? What time is dinner? What time you go to sleep? You're going to get at least 4 calls. Hello.
And the second one I call contact list roulette. And basically what you do is you take your phone, go to your contact list, spin it with your finger, hit it with your finger, and whatever name it ends up on, dial it and say, Brigitta, this is Scott Schilling, the president of your fan club. I just want you to know that you are absolutely freaking awesome and you are making a difference in the world. I love you, my friend. Talk soon. And I hang up.
But wait, what if they answer? I'm just kidding.
Well, if they answer, then you have the conversation. But the reality is, I literally do that multiple times a day, and you have no idea how many people call you and say, I don't know how you got mine or how you picked me today, but I really needed that. Thank you.
Wow. That was powerful.
And I always feel compelled to call you back. There's never a time where I would go, oh my gosh, I have to call back Scott.
Yeah.
Never.
No, people go, well, how do you make all these connections? Treat people with respect, honor, and dignity. Mm-hmm. Treat people better than you would want to be treated yourself, quite frankly. It's not that hard to do. It's intentional. It has to be top of mind. I haven't always done this. I learned my way into it. But isn't that what we've done with everything in our life? We've learned our way. We didn't know how to walk. We didn't come out of the womb walking. We learned our way into it. We fell. We bumped our heads. We cried. We did all sorts of and then all of a sudden one day we were walking. We go, well, this is pretty cool. Gosh, I'm glad I didn't miss this. Right. And that's the way it is with a lot of this stuff.
You've given me such an incredible insight, Scott. I teach, I get to teach. God has blessed me with being able to help others. I get to teach 3 years and up, right? Kids, adults as well, martial arts. That's one of my many hats I wear. How incredible would it be if I send them a message, a video, telling them I'm their biggest fan? Imagine a 4-year-old getting that. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. You just,
Rafael,
I wrote it down.
Oh, good.
I got to do it now.
I actually did this.
Those kids are going to be floored.
Oh,
I tell them in person, right? All the time. I'm like, oh, you're amazing. But I always tell them you're amazing, but I've never said to them, I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually, some guys, well, you're welcome. My pleasure. There's some guys that did me a favor, and they actually looked at my website, and they've got this massive program that they've created, and they basically gave me the new copy and the new messaging for my website because they wanted to do something nice for me. And once they saw it, they went, you've implemented this far more than anybody we've ever worked with in the past. Where did that come from, right? But yesterday, I was just looking at my site and I said, I owe these guys. And so what I did is I sent them, I did a video and I said, I just wanted to say thank you and I'm so grateful for how gracious you were. If you have a website that you want to get dialed up, these are the go-to guys. Ridgely and Hubert are the experts in the field, and I am so amazingly grateful. I couldn't have possibly found anybody better. And then 2 hours, but I just sent it to them. They didn't ask me for one, so I sent them a testimonial. 2 hours later, they called me and said, we just wanted to say thank you for sending us that video. We're putting it on our website right now.
Oof. Wow. Powerful.
But it was an unasked
the little
for
things, right?
Well, that's exactly it. It was an unasked for situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
It's very cool.
So,
normally, I don't know if Brigitta, if you have the bandwidth, or Scott, if you have the bandwidth, but normally the show should be over. But if you want to go an extra couple of minutes, I'm in, because I'm loving this conversation. I love hanging out with you guys. Can we make a pact, the three of us, to see each other in person sometime soon? 2025 awesome. For sure.
I would love that.
Yes.
Let's go. High five. High five.
High five. High five. High five.
Let's do it. Let's pick a place.
Actually doing a high 20. It just.
Oh yeah.
Let's pick a place and let's make it happen.
That'd be awesome.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
I mean,
maybe we can do this like once a quarter, or at the Culture Mastermind, or however. We're going to find many opportunities.
Yes.
Because I'm with you, Tyler. I think we're pretty cool, and I think there's a lot of synergy.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Let me have people put in the comments. Would you like to be part of an event that we do together?
That would be a blast.
That would be a tremendous.
I love events. That's one.
Oh,
that's
man.
even
you,
more
Scott?
fun.
You?
What? I know. Crazy, isn't it? It was so funny. I did an event up in Vancouver a number of years ago, and I was speaking on day 3, and I was there from, when the gun went off, day 1. Well, day 2, at one of the breaks, they were playing really awesome dance music, and so I was out in the audience dancing with a bunch of people. We were having a blast, right? Well, then I came on day 3, and literally I came on the stage, and somebody yelled out, "Now that dancing was fun!" Like, that's the way my talk started. Was somebody in the crowd, and afterwards, I was very blessed. People came up, and I was signing books and doing all sorts of stuff, and they said, "Man, the most fun we had was that dance party yesterday afternoon. We can't believe that you were out there with us."
I think that makes you so relatable. And I'm with you on that, Scott. Whenever I go and speak somewhere, if I can time-wise make it, I'll be there the entire time, the time before, the time after. And that has real power. And people they really take the time. Like, she really took the time. He really took the time. And they don't take themselves so freaking serious, but dance with us and shake my hand, and because we're all in it for the greater good.
Well, that was actually one of the things that I would learn from my speaking mentor: be the first person to show up and the last person to talk.
Yep.
First person to show up, because you take the time until you talk to get to meet the audience before you go on stage. So once, people say, well, find a friendly in the audience. Well, when the vast majority of the audience are friendlies, it makes your talk a whole lot more fun, and it's received better. As a speaker, I invest in the audience days before I ever have the opportunity to speak to them. So when I do speak to them, better things happen. It just makes sense.
Yeah. It's incredible when you actually can make that connection. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes if you have an engagement and maybe you have 2 or 3 in the same day, it's a little hectic, and you may not want to take those unless your heart tells you to, right? Unless God said you need to talk to this audience, these 3 audiences. But I've been in a situation where somebody came in Really, really good guy. And I wish I would have had more time to talk with him. And he came in, said hello to two people, got on stage, said goodbye to the same two people, didn't even talk to two different people, only the two people he knew, and then left. Guess what? Nobody remembered him. No one remembered him.
I was doing an event with a guy, and he's a very, very well-known, well, he's got his own jet, so he's a very well-known speaker. But he talked about, well, I flew in just prior to my speech here today, and I'll be leaving immediately after. And he was trying to say it as, look at what I've sacrificed for you to be here. And everybody took it as, well, you're just a pompous ass. and he was. And it's just, again, people are, I mean, I understand time constraints. I've lived them too. But if you can possibly, it's like always scheduling more. It's a choice. It's a choice to hang out here a little bit longer. It's a choice to go, or it's like, oh no, I'm so scheduled. It's like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you leave this present moment and this opportunity to be with wonderful people, you two here and those that are listening or watching? Why would you try to rush through that? It doesn't make sense. If you're working to impart answers that can be of service to others, why would you try to hurry that? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Listen, Brigitta is in Germany. That's not where she lives. She's there for business. And she said, Rafael, I will be there. Because I can't tell you her because she can only do that, right? But I am so happy that her because was a yes. Not only to being on this show, but also being my co-host and being a big part of this, because this show is not just about me. Even though I did create it, I asked Brigitta to be my co-host. It's not about me. It's about you, the people we bring, the people we touch.
Right.
That's why I am excited. I know Brigitta has to head off because she's doing business as we talk. But what an incredible time I've had with both of you today. I am blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael.
And thank you, Brigitta, for carving out the time across the pond. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I put my own participants in an exercise. That's what we do as speakers.
Exactly. I appreciate you guys so much, and again, tremendously honored to be here and available anytime I can be of service to your audience, whomever.
Scott, what I'd love to do is give you 30 seconds just to talk to the audience directly, which you already have, because you're a great communicator. But just tell them how they can find you. We have your website going across. And then, listen, if you don't connect with Scott, you're not living in the real world. Come on.
We can't help you.
We cannot help you.
It's very kind
We can't
of
help
you. I don't hide well. Scott@scottschilling.com. I mean, my name is my email. Yes, I answer my emails. Sometimes I get a lot of them, so it might take a little bit, but actually I'm pretty good at bouncing back on it. Would love for you all to look at scottschilling.com. I just launched it December 1st with all the help of these new friends and what they've done. And literally love to meet people because in doing over 3,000 live events in my career, I got a pretty good Rolodex. I can help a few people here and there. And I love doing it because ultimately I help two friends, you and the person I connect you to. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 32 and a half times touches everybody on the planet. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Brigitta and Scott, Brigitta, you introduced me to this incredible human being. And Scott, I'm so happy we're connected. And Brigitta, you also have a gift for our listeners. Can you share with us?
It's my listening checklist. You want to go get it. It is a great reminder of what, you sometimes hear, well, you need to be a better active listener. Well, that's fine and dandy, but what is that? So I'm giving you the listening checklist. It is in regards to the 5 points that I teach in my TED Talk, listening to relate, not to respond. And it ties in so beautifully in what Scott does, in what Rafael stands for, and what we talk about on this podcast and this show. And it's my gift. And that's where that's one thing of many things that we have in common, that we give. We're givers. We're being of service. We're here to connect. If I can connect you to Scott, please.
Yeah,
I'd love
absolutely.
to. Rafael, to whoever I know.
It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Brigitta, thank you so much. Everybody, Scott, have yourself an exceptional rest of this day. God bless you. And do me a favor, Scott, if you can hang out, hang out. Brigitta, I know you have to go. If you can hang out, hang out. But everybody else, we're coming back. We have more incredible guests coming on. So make sure to check it out. Share this show. Oh my God. And take some notes.
For sure.
Everybody have an exceptional rest of your day. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
See you.
Rafael.
Thank you.
This is Speaking Prowess.